I do want to pose a question. I held off because mine is really focused in one general area, and it's more of a 60,000 foot view, rising to U2 elevations. You know, I came here a little bit late in the process, the first CRC failure. I know it was in part because of a lot of angst over bells and whistles, costs, light rail, tolling, the addition of a new taxing district on the light rail, and it ultimately caused the demise of the program. And at the beginning of this, since I've come to the county, I saw there's a group of people that, they want another corridor. They want another bridge. I mean, I really appreciated that photograph that Matt saw, and I appreciated seeing it in the Columbian today. I mean, that this existing bridge is an icon of the industrial era. I mean, I wish we could preserve it because it's a work of art representing that area, and it's still standing. So there's a group of people that don't want this bridge replaced. There is a group of people that really want a third corridor. And no one is in earnest even planning it. So that angst is still there. No one's scratching that itch of, we need another corridor. We heard during kind of an interim phase that, tolling wasn't mentioned at all. And then it was mass transit capable. We're going to build a bridge that we could add mass transit once it's really justified by the data that's out there, the need for mass transit. And in the interim, buses would be a good mobile way to do it. They could go down to your Expo right now and make a connection with light rail as an option. And then all of a sudden, even though ridership is down on mass transit, we're right back to this value pricing gets thrown in, tolling gets thrown in, light rail is the way we're going now. When does the public get to vote? And I think I saw that in the paper today too. People want to vote on what do we need? What do we want to pay for? Are we right back to all the bells and whistles, a new tolling district, light rail? I'm just concerned that the data does not support these changes that we seem to have jumped to. So how are we moving forward to really gauging what the public wants instead of telling them what the engineers say they need?
So thank you. There's a few things there I can touch upon, and others we may have to get back to you. But one of the things I didn't mention and should have is that we have been actively trying to work to engage the community on the program. Very much, point blank, even asking questions, at our community advisory group. And we had a survey, an online survey where we asked people to come and give us their feedback on numerous things, including the transit mode. And we did see, there is support for high capacity transit on the bridge, as well as, that support leans toward light rail as well. There was 9,600 people, I think, who responded to one of our online community surveys, who, really, and I don't know the exact percentage, I can find it and get back to you, but, they were in support of light rail. I think some of the things you brought up are lessons learned that a program like ours has to take into advisement as we're moving the program forward from the last time. I think there's been several things that the program's done to try to set up, some of those conversations, such as a creation of two advisory groups. So we have a community advisory group and we have an equity advisory group who are looking at, a lot of the things you had mentioned. How do we get that, community input and community-based organizational input into what the program is? And so, yes, we're actively trying to engage the community in any way possible to get their feedback on what we're looking at here. And part of the EIS process that is in front of us is really a huge opportunity for us to advance some designs and to really get that key feedback from the community and our partners. As far as the third bridge and the third corridor goes, I think as someone who works for a transportation agency, I would be remiss to say that it isn't something. I think it is something that as a region should probably have a discussion. But as you're really looking at what the I-5 corridor is today and what the problems that have been identified when it gets down to the safety concerns, the seismic concerns, the public transit that is the express bus that's impacted by congestion, those freight connections that are really impacted by how they can get on the freeway. You start to recognize that a third corridor doesn't necessarily address those specific I-5 purpose and need issues we're trying to really solve with this program. So I'm not saying that a discussion shouldn't be had by the region about the benefits or the potential need for another corridor, but that doesn't really address the concerns we have for this economically important connection between our region here. And so we did study that before, and we've had a lot of discussion about that, and I'm sure we'll continue to need to engage our community and our partners on things like that. I'm sure there was more in there, but I didn't catch them all. I was trying to write them down real quick. I think you mentioned tolling. Tolling will definitely be a part of the finance plan as we move forward. I think our legislature has noticed that they did provide a good show of support, but a program like this is likely going to look for the states, federal, and tolling as a source. That goes back to CRC as what we were looking at with the finance plan then, and it's going to likely be a key part now, especially as some of that tolling might provide some of that local kind of match that you can use to get some additional federal funding, because there's always going to be a local match part. So those are a lot of the things that we'll be working on as we update it and create a finance plan here as we move forward, and then as we work through the environmental impact. So I'm trying to write down, and I'll make sure to go back and capture all your questions, but those are absolutely things that it's work ahead of us to work with this board as well as the other partners to answer.